welcome here to MoreTalkFCB and welcome back to the channel, guys. We are going to be talking in today's video, of course, about the full press conference, reaction from Ronald Koeman. We also heard today from Francisco Trincao ahead of Barça versus Ferencvaros in the Champions League. There was lots to discuss, as once again, we can expect rotation. It's all coming up. Let's get to it. And if we do start, first of all, with a few words indeed from Francisco Trincao, who was the representative there from the players ahead of this game. He was asked there whether he was happy with the opportunities that he was getting so far at Barcelona. Did he feel as though he was getting enough minutes? And he was actually asked by the journalist, if you don't get more minutes in the near future, would you consider leaving the club? Trincao, though, he shut that down immediately. He said, look, I'm very, very happy to be playing for the greatest club in the world. He said, it's a dream come true to be here. I'm only thinking about Barça. Of course, I'm going to stay. He was then asked by the journalist when we can expect to start seeing the Trincao that we saw playing for Braga, scoring goals, taking on shots, looking a lot more confident. And Trincao came back. He said, look, it's just about time. He said, game by game, I get more confidence, I get more comfortable at the club. He said, I'm sure that it's going to happen. It'll all come with time. So Trincao still very, very confident that he can bring his very best level. And I want to touch here on an important quote that I'm sure will get shared around, certainly on social media, when Trincao really was put on the spot, I think rather unfairly, by the journalist. He was asked there, who would you prefer to have? Who is the best player, Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, who of course Trincao plays with for the Portuguese national team? Now of course, he had to say, it's impossible to tell you. He said they're both very distinctive in their style, they're both top quality players. He said they're the best. He said I couldn't just single out one of those players. And of course, I'm sure many people will say, you know, he could have just said Messi. Why didn't he say Messi over Cristiano? This is something that we've always debated about many times as fans. But look, I can understand in this situation why Trincao wouldn't get drawn on this. We know that he plays with Messi at Barcelona, but of course he does play with Ronaldo for the Portuguese national team, which is also his country. And as a young player, you don't want to go around upsetting anybody. So in this case for me, he sat on the fence. He didn't go one way or the other. He did the right thing. Moving on then to the words of Ronald Koeman, though, like I say, there is certainly more rotation on the horizon because this is the squad who will travel to Hungary to face Ferencvaros with Clement Longley, incredibly, included in the squad. He has recovered from that ankle sprain at lightning speed. Honestly, absolutely incredible. There is no place, though, for Ronald Araujo, no place for Samuel Umtiti, no Ter Stegen, and no Felipe Coutinho. And you will also notice, which was a big theme again from this press conference, there's no Lionel Messi. Koeman was asked first of all about what the mentality was like going into this game. What were their objectives now that we're already qualified from our group? He said, well, the important thing, of course, is to qualify first and foremost. He said, we did that in Kiev, but the mentality now at Barcelona has to be to just keep winning matches. He said, we want to finish top of the group, and there are 2 matches to go where we can achieve that. And of course then, Koeman was asked repeatedly the inevitable question about Lionel Messi. Number 1, he's obviously been rested here for the 2nd game in a row in the Champions League. Koeman said, I know it's not a normal thing for Leo to rest, but he said, I think in this particular season, with the schedule that we have to pick really wisely some moments for him to rest. He said, for me, the moments here were against Dinamo just a week ago, and now this game tomorrow. He said, because on Saturday, we've got a crucial game in La Liga. It's so important for us. He said, we have to win in the league. And he said, probably after tomorrow, there won't be many more opportunities like this one for Messi to rest. And I thought then a very interesting question came from the journalist toward the very end of the press conference. He was asked how easy was it to convince Messi to actually take this rest? Was it a difficult task there to get him to understand that he needs to sit a game out? He said, of course, Messi is a player who always wants to play. He said, that's a great mentality to have. He said, you want every single player in the squad to have that sort of mentality. But he said, for every decision I make, whether it's Messi or anybody else, I always speak with the player first. I ask them, and then we make the final decision, and the final decision will rest with me. He said, like I said before, it's only now because of our comfortable situation in the Champions League that we can afford to do this, because he said again, as the season goes on, he can't rest anymore. Koeman said, while laughing. Koeman was also asked about our options there at centre-back. There is no Araujo and no Samuel Umtiti, like I say. On Umtiti, Koeman said, we have a friendly game in place tomorrow with him, with Barcelona B. He said he's actually going to play in that friendly game back in Barcelona. He said he is very close to coming back now. But on Araujo, he said he trained for part of the session in the last day or so. He said we don't want to risk him though, because he's not quite 100% ready yet. He said perhaps at the weekend he'll be ready to return. He said the very worst case scenario would probably be next week, because he is nearly there with his recovery. Koeman was also asked about Gerard Piqué, who has elected there not to undergo surgery and instead choose a more conservative route on his recovery. Koeman said, I've spoken with Gerard, of course. He said every single day I see him in the morning. He's here at the training ground working on that recovery. He said, I'm not a doctor, so I don't have any influence there over that decision not to have surgery. He said, I don't really know right now when we're going to be able to count on him, but I do hope that he'll be back before the end of the season. There was also a few questions there about Martin Braithwaite and the impact that he's had on the squad. I was happy there the journalists were giving Braithwaite some recognition for the past 2 games that he's played. Koeman said, in theory, what we tried to do over the past few games is decide and see who is our best number 9 in each of the different games. He's obviously Griezmann and Messi can play there as well, but he said with the work that Martin is doing, he really deserves these minutes, and he said in certain games in La Liga, I feel like we really need a 9. Just like Martin has given us. And I think they're very, very encouraging words. He's spoken a lot over the past few days about the impact of Braithwaite, about the presence of him as that number 9. And I certainly hope that we continue here to utilise that every single game. We should be looking to try and have him there as an outlet. Either starting, coming off the bench, he can have impacts in all different areas of the field. And I think they're certainly positive words from Ronald Koeman. And he was also asked there, of course, as he is in pretty much every single press conference, about how he felt for the presidential candidates talking about him repeatedly, of course, questions over his job, questions about his future. He said, look, I knew this would happen. He said, when I signed here as coach, I was fully aware that elections were going to come in 2021 at some point. He said, of course, now they've been confirmed for January. But he did say, I have a 2-year contract, so all we're going to have to wait and see is what happens. Finally, though, there was a very, very intriguing question on the future of Jean-Claire Todibo, who, as we know, is out on loan at Benfica, a move that certainly us Barcelona fans were puzzled by when it went through, and especially now given our centre-back problems. But Koeman was actually asked there in the press conference after there were rumours in the media that in January, that loan could actually be cut short after Jorge Jesus, the Benfica coach, apparently does not count on Todibo, and as of yet, he's still not even made his Benfica debut. Koeman, though, was pretty vague on that right now. He said this is something that we will need to look at in the January transfer window. He said, to be honest, I don't know if those rumours are true. He said, we haven't spoken about this topic yet at the club, but me personally, that is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. That is certainly going to be something that in January, if Benfica do want to cut that loan short, I do believe they would have to terminate that, which would actually lead to maybe some incoming money for Barcelona. And if that was to happen, that would be interesting. So that there, guys, was exactly what Ronald Koeman and also Trincao had to say ahead of the Champions League clash against Ferencvaros tomorrow. Please do join me over on the main channel later today when we're going to be going through the possible starting 11, which should be really, really interesting indeed. Again, we should see some experimentation. We should see certainly a good amount of youth. And I'm excited to see how it goes. I'll see you then, guys. Thanks, as always, for your great support. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.